practicals. But moving on practicals, we must know about each and every ratio, their classification and their interpretation. So, we are discussing accounting ratios. Accounting ratio can be bifurcated into two parts. First one is traditional ratio, and second one is functional ratios. Okay, this traditional ratio is older concept which you have already learnt in 12th standard. Okay, so in syllabus we have to discuss this portion, but we will discuss it also. In this, there are three types of ratios. The first one is revenue statement ratio. Second one is balance sheet ratio, and third one is composite ratio. Now, in these three, the first revenue statement. When you are using the data from revenue statement, or you can say P&L account, your ratio is known as revenue statement ratio. When you are using the data, or you can say your numerator or denominator, this information is of balance sheet, that's known as balance sheet data. Now in third one, when you are using the terms numerator or denominator of balance sheet or P&L account, okay, you can use, see, it is your ratio. You can use the data of P&L account as a numerator or data of balance sheet account as a denominator. Or P&L account. Okay, so you can change it. That means you are using the data from both statement. First is P&L and second one is balance sheet, or you can say first is balance sheet data and second one is P&L account. Okay, so that's known as composite ratio. But these all type ratios you have learned in your 12th standard, so we are not going to doing practicals of that particular. We are moving on. Our most important part is functional ratio. This functional ratio is classified into 4 points. First one is liquidity ratio. Number 2, profitability ratio. Number 3, leverage ratio. And number 4, activity based ratio. Now, you can use the word leverage or you can use gearing ratio. Same here, there is another name of activity that's known as efficiency ratio. Okay, now one by one we are going to discuss. First is liquidity ratio. In this type of ratio, you are analyzing the liquidity of a particular firm. That means you are analyzing the working capital position of the firm. Number 2, profitability ratio. It is bifurcated into two parts. Your profitability can be compared in respect to two portions. First is sell and number 2 is investment. Leverage ratio, it's mainly related with and this one is known as capital structure of a company. When your data is coming from the capital structure, okay, you are analyzing the capital structure of company, that ratio is known as leverage ratio. After the last one is efficiency ratio. In that you can say debtors ratio is calculated, or you can say creditors ratio, stock turnover ratio, so this debtors ratio, creditors ratio and stock turnover ratio is giving us the knowledge about the company's position, but of operation, not financial position. It's about the operation of the company, how company is managing its operation, how it's working on. Okay, so that's are the ratio which we are going to analyze in practicals. First is liquidity ratio, which is analyzing the liquidity position of the company. In that you can mention CR ratio, or you can say LR ratio, that's known as a liquidity ratio, or you can say acid test ratio. Okay, now profitability ratio is bifurcated into two portions. First one is sell and second one is investment. That means what? You are analyzing the profitability of a company with respect to sell and with respect to investment. Okay, GP, NP, this type of ratio. Okay, and third one is leverage. When you are analyzing the capital structure situation of a company, that ratio is known as a leverage ratio and it is an activity based ratio. So this is the entire overview of your ratio. This is your older concept which you have already studied in 12th, but now we are going to discuss this one. Okay.